If there was one word to sum up the holiday of Pesach, and one word that we would connect with the holiday, it would certainly be matzah. The first time we refer to matzah on the Seder night is with the words of ha-lachem anya. This is the bread of affliction. And Rav Yitzchak Mirsky Shlita, in his Haggadah, brings up the following question, which is brought down by many rabbis of yesteryear. And they ask, is matzah really the bread of affliction? After all, the Psukim tell us that Bnei Israel ate matzah as they were leaving Mitzrayim. When they were already Bnei Chorin, as they were exiting Egypt, that is when they ate the matzah. And the proof, as the Psukim explain to us, the Psukim say, the phrases in the Torah explain to us, that they didn't have time for their dough to rise because they were in a rush to leave, to exit. So how then do we refer to matzah as ha-lachma anya, this is the bread of affliction, as opposed to this is the bread of freedom? What is the symbol of the matzah? Is it a bread of affliction or is it a bread of freedom? So the other way of looking at things, based on the Sforno and the Shlah, is that no, our ancestors actually did eat matzahs in Egypt. And the reason for that was because when they went to bake their bread, the slave masters were hitting them and saying to them, you don't have the time to allow your dough to rise, you have to eat it right away. And so they ate their matzahs without even allowing their dough to rise, because of the fact that their slave masters were right on top of them. So is it a bread of affliction or is it a bread of freedom? Certainly it could go for bread of affliction, and certainly it can go for bread of freedom. So he explains as follows. The one difference between bread and matzah, they both have the same ingredients, flour and water, but there's one ingredient that's the difference between them, and that is the ingredient of time. And what the Bnei Israel did not have in Mitzrayim was time. What the Bnei Israel did not have as they were leaving Mitzrayim was time. So whether we look at matzah as being the bread of affliction, or we look at matzah being the bread of cherus, being the bread of freedom, in either of those, the Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, didn't have the proper time in order to bake the matzah. And therefore, we sit on the night of the Seder with time, and we eat the matzah. Coming up, preparing for Pesach, the one thing that we all wish that we could have is more time in preparation. It seems as early as we try to prepare, we could always use some more time when it comes to Erev Pesach, when it comes to all the various things that we need to do in cleaning and preparing for the Seder. But ultimately, when Pesach begins, we realize, now we finally have time. Now we finally have the opportunity to sit down with our family and enjoy a long Seder as long as it takes. We have the opportunity to spend 7 in Eretz Yisrael or 8 days together and have all the time in the world to be able to discuss whatever it is that we want to share with our family. And all of a sudden, time becomes something which is valued on a new level. And we're able to apply the sanctity and the concept of time to our daily lives on this one night, when time plays such a significant factor. Time is the difference between breads. Time is the difference between a bread that rises and a bread that doesn't rise, that becomes our symbol of affliction as well as our symbol of freedom. The two messages of the Seder night, the message of the matzah. May we be zocheh to enjoy and really sanctify all of the time that we have together on Yom Tov, and ensure that as we eat this matzah, we enjoy everyone around us, we enjoy the matzah itself, and we recognize the affliction of the past and the freedom of the present and of the future. Thank you, and Chag Kasher v'Sameach.